up, gentlemen? What's up, world?
What up? What up?
What's up? It's that time again.
Yes, it is. So here we are again. I'm Brother Roy. I am Brother Ruck.
Brother Los. And behind the camera, your brother Bishop.
And I'm not Brother Ruck. I'm Big Ruck. I don't know why the hell I said
that. Brother Ruck.
Well, that's like me. I'm Losey Levlos.
Right.
Shoot. We in a freaking church or something.
So what's up out there, people?
I was just gonna say, I didn't even get the start notice.
You didn't?
It just came through. It was like a little delay.
They just popped in.
Perfect delay.
No, let me turn it. There we go.
So how y'all brothers been since we last met? What everybody been up to?
Man, I've been good, man. Just me and Oslo been in the studio a lot.
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, most definitely.
Whatever became of Oslo's album, man?
I don't know. I mean, it's still there. He hasn't put it out yet, but I think one of the reasons has something to do with I think his management or something like that. Yeah, but I'm not sure. I know he was telling me some things about his management, but I don't remember the details. Yeah.
When we had that listening party, that was a really good album. The only issue is he's going to have to release that like within a certain amount of time because that market's going to move on, you know?
Yeah.
You got to straight why it's hot, but man, that boy's really talented, man. Y'all check him out. Oslo, I don't know his contact information. I give him a shout out. But you know, he was a record. Yeah, man.
What's the name of the record?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, they still call them records, man. They still do that. They still call them records, LPs, albums.
Yeah, albums.
Yeah.
You know, I'm old school, so you know.
I mean, we are pretty much old school at this point.
Right.
Compared to y'all, I'm old school.
What's it?
Well, yeah.
I got 10 years on y'all.
Have y'all seen those memes where like somebody would go to buy like alcohol or something like that, buy like something where you got to get carded.
Yeah.
The person pull out their ID and it goes, "Hey, can you see it? Or do I need to pull it out of my wallet?" And they go, "No, I can see the one from here."
Right.
And they go,
Yeah.
Right.
"Yeah, if your birth year start with a 19 anything,
Right.
you
Good.
old."
Right. Good.
Yeah. I saw it the one day when I said that was funny. I see the one. That's all I need to know.
Like, yeah, I see the one from here. Like, one. Oh, yeah.
So if
Wow.
you sleep,
Everybody got tools now.
Yep.
Man, we the last of the ones.
Right.
So if you're sleeping
You know?
enough and you're born like on the first of a month, you move it, your ID somehow in there.
Number
make it look
one.
something. So the dude sees it like, oh, I see one. Gotcha. Should actually we number 19.
Right.
For real.
Wow. Given he started out at 1,000, and now we grew like 1970, 1980, 1990. My God.
Yeah.
Like we could have been born anywhere along that timeline. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We came in at the end
At the very end, man.
and was able to see the new one coming in. That's pretty cool.
You
Some of us, we brought the new ones in.
Yeah.
You know what I always say, man? I say our generation saw the most change
I agree.
in the world. You know what I'm saying? But then I sit and I think about it, and I'll be like, well, it wasn't necessarily our generation, but if our grandparents are still alive, the amount of change that they seen in this world, I don't think that'll ever be done again.
Our grandparents?
Yeah.
I agree.
Man.
Remember what they went from to what we are
Right.
now? It's a whole different world, man.
From
It's a
strictly
whole different
manual
world.
to automatic.
Yeah. It's a whole different world.
To not knowing what a computer is, to people walking around with computers in their pockets.
To computers not even being in existence.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Dude.
To technology not even being in existence. Like
They went from no planes to watch them do go up to the moon.
Exactly.
they still dealing
In a
with
little amount of time.
you can't drink out of this water fountain. For real.
Right. That's the crazy part, dude. It's like they say, change happens exponentially. So the amount of change that we've seen, just imagine in what we've seen in our lifetime, what our kids are going to see in theirs, because it's just moving
That's what I'm
faster
waiting
and
on.
faster.
Yeah.
It's
That's what I'm
just
waiting
moving
on.
faster and faster.
That's exactly what I'm waiting on.
Yeah, that's going to be some crazy shit there, man. Because you talking about hell, like we talked about the other day, neural implants where you're going to be able to control machines just
Right.
with a thought.
Right.
You know, artificial intelligence. Hell, we might not ever have to figure out how to travel to other planets. We're gonna just be able to set up a program, put it into a robot, send it out, because it's not going to deteriorate or die of old age,
Right.
and it can travel as long as we need it to.
Right.
You know, we just got to build a computer smart enough to get there and do the things we need done.
Can't do that. We have to go there.
Well,
We have to go there. Ain't no computer can come with me, but we have to go there. Computer don't count. It's not human. Like, it don't count. So that means we still not got there. So right now, we've been on Mars for many years now with machines.
Yeah.
You have to get there to count. That's when it counts.
Oh, don't get me wrong, but how are we going to overcome the difficulties of time?
Physically being.
Yeah, time as you travel into these other places. That's the thing. If we ever find something that's habitable, it's probably not going to be close.
That's the problem.
So you talk about light years worth of travel, thousands of years potentially out in space, unless you're going to build generational ships.
We don't have the speed yet. We
Yeah.
haven't figured out the speed.
That's the thing.
Once we figure out the speed, we'll be able to go places. But how you gonna figure out the speed? You can only go so far.
One of those.
We may have to go to Mars and get something there to bring back to make that energy.
One of the things that I've been hearing a lot of people talk about is solar sails, where basically, because there's solar wind in space, so we don't have regular wind, but you do have solar wind in space, and they build these sails that catch and ride those solar winds in space. The thing about those is once you get going and you keep going, you just go faster and faster. So it's constantly building up speed. So the longer you go, potentially the faster you'd be able to travel. Now, of course, the one problem that they haven't figured out would be how you stop it.
That's
Right.
That would be the problem.
What's the sales?
No, because in space you don't lose no momentum. There's no friction.
Keep going.
You still would keep going.
Thrusters.
Yeah, but
That's funny though how you say that. It's like, okay, so we're back to square one when we go exploring. Back to
sales, yeah.
You know, until we learn to get in the thing. Here we go. So we got to go start all over again. As if it's a lot more, technical.
High tech sales. What was that? What was that animated movie that came out years ago? It was something about pirates in space. What was it?
Was it Ice Pirates? Is that what you're
No,
talking
not,
about?
it was animated. It was
Pirates in Space.
You
Captain
know,
Harlock and
Oh, that was awesome.
that
Yes,
was
it was.
awesome, but what I was talking about was actually older than that. But Harlock was good. That was real damn
that was
good.
real good, yeah.
Oh dang, I can't think of it. It's gonna bother me until it comes to me.
Speaking of old movies, man, guess what? I watched. Me and Oslo was in the studio last night, and he started clicking on old movies that he had saved.
Mm-hmm.
This boy put on damn it, what's the name of Heavy Metal?
Oh,
Wow.
The original one.
Wow.
damn!
Wow.
I was like, wow, we watched the whole
Wow.
thing too. Heavy Metal, man.
I got a new one out, man.
Yeah.
I just saw the preview.
Oh, a new one?
Yes, Heavy Metal 2021 or something like that, or Heavy Metal 3. And
Did
it's
y'all see
all
Heavy
modern.
Metal 2000?
Huh?
Did you see Heavy Metal 2000?
Yeah, I saw that one.
I think I saw part of it, man, but I only saw it once. How did y'all feel about it compared to the first one?
See,
I mean-
can't remember if I saw it or not.
Compared to the first one, nah.
Yeah, and I think I was asking Oslo that same question because I was thinking to myself, it don't really matter at this point how outrageous or whatever they would have done with 2000, because think about the ages we were
Absolutely.
when we saw the first one
Absolutely.
and the things that was going on in that first one.
Yeah.
The impact that movie had on you, there's no way they could make another movie right
That's
now.
gonna have that
would-
impact.
Yeah.
Because that was I mean, first of all, it was adult animation.
Right.
that was just something
Right.
you didn't see very much of back
Exactly.
then. Like you had a few things like Felix the Cat and stuff
Right,
like
right,
that
right,
back in
right.
the day. But even
That was
that,
something, but that's a different level.
yeah, but that was.
Yeah.
But to see animation taken seriously and treated
Yeah.
seriously,
Right.
being approached with real stories and stuff like
Right.
that, that's just not something you saw, especially in American animation back
Right.
then.
Right. Exactly. And
It just didn't exist.
It was dope, man.
Treasure Island, Treasure Planet was the movie I was trying to think
Treasure Planet.
of. Treasure Planet. I knew it was Treasure something, but I couldn't think of what it was.
We might see something now. You said there's a 2021.
Yeah, I think it's a new one.
See, it's like the
it's
first one, but with the new graphics.
I mean, it looked like it was modern day when I saw it. I
Yeah.
forgot where I was when I saw it. And I was like, wow, that's cool. They got another one? Wow.
Yeah, that'd be cool to see.
I'm gonna look that up.
Man, around the time that heavy metal first came out, I think about maybe 2-3 years after that. Do y'all remember the old school cable boxes?
Yeah.
You have to go to it and have like the knob, and you have to turn the knob.
Turn the tab to the
It
right
was, it was
channel.
around this time, okay? Cinemax and Showtime, one of those two, every, like either Friday night or Saturday night, they would show a movie that was very similar to heavy metal. Like but it'd have pornography in it. Like the women that were showing their breast, or you may see the man's genitals or something like that, but it was all cartoon. And it would only come on like around midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning on Cinemax or HBO, one of those two.
Say that again.
It was a cartoon that was like heavy metal, but it would have like pornography in it, like you'll see the body parts, or what have you.
Was it Blue People?
No, it wasn't Blue People.
Oh, okay.
No, it wasn't Blue People. But it was just like a regular cartoon. Like, man, I cannot think of the names of them, man. A lot of people don't remember them. Wow. What is the name of that cartoon?
All I watched on Cinemax was Emanuela, so I don't know. Cartoons.
Yeah, they had their own line. They had some good cartoons, man.
No, I remember what you're saying. I think they used to do something like that.
They used to wake up and sneak and watch it while mama would be asleep. And I'd be sitting there watching it, and I'd be listening for it like a whole show.
Oh, of course. We all did that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was Liquid something. Like, was it?
No, that was on MTV.
Yeah, that's MTV.
Liquid Television was
Oh
on
no,
MTV.
man, I remember that.
Or Liquid Television, but where we first got introduced to Eon Flux.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. You know, Flux was
I was in Oddities, the Max fan.
Yeah,
Big time.
Dude.
I was in Oddities, the Max fan.
I was already reading the comic books, the Max, when the show came out, and I was like, they're doing a Max cartoon?
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God.
Wow.
And then they kept it so true to the comic books.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
the greatest thing in the world to me, because you could tell Sam Keith, that was the artist who used to draw it, he was drawing the cartoons too, because he had a signature style. It was just the way he drew it. That what was her name? The female that he was his parole officer, but he was in love with her.
Oh,
and whenever he would fantasize, she would be like a jungle queen.
Right.
I can't remember what her character was called, but dude, with the way he drew women, it was just superb.
You highlighted the hips really well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really well.
I used to work with a girl. I told her once she looked like a Sam Keith drawing, and she looked at me like I was crazy. So then I went and found some of my old comic books, and I brought them, and I was like, "Here, when I say you look like a Sam Keith drawing, this is what I mean." And she was like, "Oh, damn, thank you." And I was like, "Exactly."
Still need pussy though.
I wasn't trying. I was married at the time.
Well, I wouldn't even say shit to her.
So waste the energy.
I made her look it up.
Right?
Who the fuck it is. If you get the wrong Sam, oh well.
None of that.
Oh, man.
None of that.
Oh man.
Man, doing good.
Hey man, y'all heard about? So I had heard some updates about that shit with the kids. That the kid, the 15-year-old that was found dead.
The skeleton.
Oh yeah, I hadn't heard anything about that. What?
Yeah, man, they had this big thing about it. And the police chief and the investigator, the main investigator, they were on the panel. And they were talking about how, of course, they arrested the parents and shit. Well, the mother and the boyfriend, and they charged the boyfriend with murder and they charged the mother with something about, it has something to do with neglect, because they had, she didn't provide food for the kids and all of that stuff during that whole period of
They were
time.
staying with the one was a skeleton. They had died and they were living there with it. So
And
imagine the stench for a while.
And they found blunt trauma to the head of the dead kid. So
that's the murder.
Yeah, and it's the it's the boyfriend.
So he killed her child, and she stayed with him.
Right. Have y'all seen their pictures?
No.
She doesn't look. She doesn't look right.
Like she all there.
Yeah.
What does
she
she
doesn't
look
look right.
Wait a minute.
You gotta
does
see
too much
it, man.
meth.
When I saw it and I saw her eyes,
She's
I
not
went,
there.
I bet you Ron would say, I see the crazy. I said that when I saw her
Really?
eyes. Yeah.
Well,
Wow.
she was crazy up to a 15-year-old child.
But I've been having interesting conversations about this lately. Was she black?
She's black.
Really?
She's black and the boyfriend is white.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that them?
That's them. Look at her.
Really? Oh yeah.
See?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You see the crazy, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Hazel was making an argument that she thought they was Hispanic.
Uh,
And the reason she was thinking that this is prior to pictures coming out or anything like that.
yeah.
I said, Hazel, I'm interested in knowing what is your thinking behind it? She said, Ron, you got a dead body in there for a whole year. You done told all the neighbors smell it, it's coming through the vents, all that kind of stuff.
Bad.
And you got 3 other kids here that's been neglected or what have you. Them kids in that kind of situation, you would think that they would go ahead and try to go get some help elsewhere or something like that. They couldn't run because they probably are undocumented.
Oh.
So whatever situation they're in, they're just willing to stay there because they're undocumented. I say
the
this.
case.
I said,
But you know what?
That's an interesting logic.
You know what? That is an interesting logic, but here's the thing I think that makes the difference in that. Because the ages of the kids that were still alive, they wouldn't have been thinking about that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They wouldn't have been thinking. Now, had it been another older kid there,
Well, the oldest
You know,
one was 15.
but that's the one that was
Still.
dead.
No,
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 It was a 9-year-old.
Oh, it was the 9-year-old?
Yeah, it was a 9-year-old.
It was
Okay.
a 15, 12, and
And that's how they found out about him, because I think the 15-year-old went and
Finally-
asked somebody,
Yeah,
for
I
like
think
a
maybe
neighbor or
trying to get some
something.
help or
Finally
something with
said
some food or something.
Yeah.
but the smell, nobody said shit.
Yeah.
I couldn't understand
That's
how
crazy.
if they started smelling it outside,
You
can
had to
imagine
have.
how strong it was in the house. And that smell has to be toxic after a certain point in time.
But these
Not only-
neighbors,
Not only
well,
that,
some funky people live there. You
Yeah.
know,
But-
that's a dead body.
not only that, but I mean, you got to think about it. So while that body decomposed, that means that there was flies. There was a point where it bloats, where it expands and then it shrinks and starts to liquefy, and stuff is running out of it, blood and everything
They probably
else.
went into the other room. Or
Right,
something.
that's
Get
what I'm
out-
saying.
get away from
So
that.
you're in the house. Not only is it
That's-
mentally messing you up, but you're potential health risk because you're literally sitting next to a rotten body.
Exactly.
That
Them
is so
kids will
nasty.
never be right. Ever.
Oh, and the mother also got charged with tampering with evidence. It was tampering with evidence is
She
something
tried
that
to
had to do
fix
with
it
neglect.
somehow. Stupid.
I just don't get it. I mean,
Stupid.
Lord knows I've been, a father and single while I was a father and dating. And hell, if somebody even says something off about my kids,
Right.
one woman told me my kids were spoiled. I was like, who the fuck are you to tell me my kids are spoiled? And that was it. We didn't talk no more.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And hell, if my kids are spoiled, it's because I spoiled them. Because I wanted them to have better things than I had. Like, what the? I don't get it. If somebody was doing something to my kids, I just don't see how I could stay in a relationship with you.
A relationship, much less the planet.
Mhm.
Because you would have to go away.
You
You couldn't exist anymore.
lay your hands on my children, much less kill one of them,
You couldn't
and then I'm just gonna be laid up with you like we good.
Yeah, you couldn't.
It's easier for women though. I mean, they stay in relationships where they get beat up. So this time her kid got beat up and she just couldn't get out of it.
I don't know. I
It's
get
crazy. It's crazy. It makes no sense.
I get you can be scared, and I get you can be
We'd rather see that though than have them aborted way back 15 years ago.
Don't get me started.
I don't want to see that shit. That's why I say, yo, if we don't want a kid, go ahead.
Go ahead and get
Act
rid
like
of
you never had
it.
it.
I don't think they had
I would see
electricity.
some-
Come to think about it,
Oh, man,
They
I don't
couldn't
know
have.
How could
I
that?
don't
Unless
think
somebody
they had
paid, unless it
electricity.
was one of those places where it was included, but
Because somebody was paying the
I
rent.
think
somebody
someone,
had to have been
I
paying the
think
rent.
someone mentioned that last night though, that they didn't have power.
Oh, but wait, it's been COVID times. You couldn't evict people.
That's true.
That's what I
Good
thought.
point.
That's what I
You
thought
couldn't
at first.
evict
I was like, you
people.
know what? Maybe it was one of those where there's no sense in even going home because there's nothing we can do yet.
Right.
You know, so imagine those kids went through that freeze. Were they there?
They had to.
during that time?
They had to.
Right? Because that was like a year ago, right?
They had
So
to.
yeah.
February. It was February
they
of
went
this
through
year.
that freeze part with no man.
Yeah, man.
Like, what the heck?
Them kids will never be right.
That was a smell. I've been out
Ever.
this
The
world.
smell. That's why I said they probably went to another room. They couldn't have been sitting right there watching that like the day.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they said the body was in another room.
Yeah, it was in like
But
one of the
still-
bedrooms or something. But still, you know it's
you can
there.
smell that outside. It doesn't matter if you're in another
And
room. That
nobody-
house
nobody
had to
said
be
nothing.
Putrid, dog.
Yeah. Everybody in that whole complex is guilty of that shit.
You can always get the flies to let you know something.
Yeah.
Right. Something's dead in here.
One of
Yeah.
the investigators said they said when we walked inside, it was just roaches and a lot of roaches and flies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, roaches eat a dead body.
It was a skeleton.
Roaches will
remains.
damn sure
Yeah.
eat a dead
Yeah.
body.
It was skeleton remains, yo.
Yeah, roaches will eat a
That's
dead body.
right.
Don't think about the kids.
Them kids
Yeah.
will never be the same. They watched that shit. They saw their brother
And
go from
probably-
body to skeleton.
And probably was there when he got killed.
Yep. And who knows, yep.
Mhm.
More than
Or
likely.
didn't know he got killed. Oh, he's sleeping. He just never woke up. You know, that's probably why they left. The mom and dad
To be
left.
honest,
And that's the other thing. The mom, you know what I just did.
It's
We
so
gotta
sad.
run. What about my kids? Fuck them. We gotta run because that's pretty much what happened. Then she ran with him.
Because
She's stupid. She's just as guilty.
So they took the dude for psych evaluation, so he didn't go to court this morning. But she
No,
was in
really?
court. Right. She needed to be going to psych
Evaluation too, because something's not right. Something's definitely not right.
Like
about that.
you could just look at her and tell something ain't right.
Like when I got that, the one I showed you with the picture of him, I got that queued up for me to watch later because I saw it was like it's like a 30-minute long special,
Yeah.
and I was like, okay, I want to actually see that because I need to know what's going on with this because this is just it's one of these stories like every time you think about it, you get more questions.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, like, but wait, that means that they had to be doing this.
Right.
You know,
Right.
nah, dude, what is going on with this world?
Crazy,
Bad education.
man.
Segue,
Bobby trying to segue.
segue hood.
It's been this crazy. We just now can find out more.
Right.
True.
It's always been this crazy.
Good segue though, Bobby. That was a good segue, man.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, so let's get to it then, man.
All right.
And people, I don't know why we can't see the chat.
Ain't nobody talking.
No, they
No,
are.
we're
Oh, they are?
No,
you
you
can't.
keep looking at that. It's no longer
We're going
going.
through the crew
Oh,
camera.
that's what's up.
Hey,
This is just a monitor.
there's no
We should
green
still be
light
able to
either.
see.
So I wonder, can they hear us?
Yeah, they can hear us.
Yeah, they-
Oh, okay.
They've been- yeah.
Okay.
Hey, what's up, T?
Mine as a monitor.
What's up, T? What's up, Leah?
I'm just looking at mine.
Okay.
What's up? What's up?
All right, what's up, people?
That's pretty much just a monitor we can see.
Okay.
We's upgraded.
This is a big
Yeah.
monitor.
We's moving out, love.
Right.
We doing some things. We doing some
He
things.
got coffee.
Yeah, that's a dead laptop. So don't look at the laptop. Just do your thing.
Bet that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, man. And if anybody wants one of these daily
Let us know.
smoke cups, man, y'all just let us know. Let us know. We're gonna raffle off some merchandise pretty soon too.
Yeah. We're working on some things.
Yeah, we're working on a lot of things, man. We're
Yeah.
working on a lot of things.
We're gonna make it a little more interactive and rewarding for our viewers out there. Bless you, bro.
Thank you, man. Alex, man.
COVID.
y'all sound
Killing me,
y'all,
man.
y'all sound like Trump right there. We got many things we're working on. Good things.
I know,
Really
right?
good things.
We're
Don't
gonna
know
make
what the hell he's
we're gonna make
talking about.
YouTube great again.
right.
Right.
YouTube great again.
Man,
That would actually be a cool T-shirt. Make
Way
YouTube
too
great
great
again.
again. I know, right?
That would actually be. That would
I
actually
like
be a cool T-shirt.
Snoop's. What is it? Fuck you, YouTube. That's what this thing that says. Yeah.
Snoop. Man.
Yeah, it says fuck you, YouTube. Some shit like that on the show. Pretty cool.
Yeah, man, this issue regarding our public education is starting to become an important issue, I think, at least especially in the Black community, but it also is at the community at large, period, in terms of like the necessity of public school. What do you all think regarding public school? Like, do you think it's still relative and applicable to our days and times, or should we just be done with it, or everybody go charter? What?
If we did do away with it, it'd be a huge mistake.
Yeah.
It'd be a huge mistake. Right now, even though the public education system is deficient in a lot of ways, a whole lot of ways, the problem is if you take away public education, then basically you're resigning a portion of the population to servitude permanently. That's all they'll be able to do without an education.
Mm-hmm.
At least if you have a basic education, you have the potential to maybe go to college. Like back in the day when, we had an aristocracy and all of that kind of stuff, education was reserved for the well-to-do.
Sure.
The common man didn't go to school. You went to a trade.
Mm-hmm.
You might apprentice at some, under somebody who had a blacksmith or, whatever, those kind of things. So you didn't get educated. You could literally hold on a job your whole life, but not know how to read and write.
Yeah.
And get paid.
I think the question, and tell me if I'm wrong though, but I was thinking that the question was more geared towards if public school is necessary in terms of kids still have to go to school, but they can do it online.
Okay, you can take it that. We can take it that route.
We can definitely talk about it.
You can take it that route. That's fine.
I mean, just my experience, even in the last year with COVID. I mean, virtual school is going to work for some people, but it's not going to work for everybody. Some people just not capable of learning that way. The job I'm working at right now, when I started, it was during COVID, so they had to train us from home, and it sucked.
Yeah.
I would never, if another job offered me a position, say, "Oh, we're going to train you from home." No, that's okay.
Yeah,
that's okay. I will come in and learn, and then if you want me to, once I learn it, work from home, that's fine. But I need face-to-face interaction. And I get it. And Leah, my youngest, the one that was still in school, when she was going through it last year, she hated it. It was really difficult for her. And then once I went through a similar thing, I understood. I was like, I get it. This doesn't work for everybody.
How did y'all respond to the lockdown?
I responded very positively, man. I stepped up. I did a lot of things that I have been wanting to do, things that I have been thinking about. I actually really dove into a lot of different stuff, man. So I think I did well during COVID.
No cabin
doing
fever?
a lot. Nah, not at all.
What about you, Lo?
I mean, you get tired of being in the house, but it wasn't anything extreme. But I was traveling a lot too.
Oh, fair
enough.
What
I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Didn't make me no different.
It didn't. Bobby, you?
And I'm always home, so for me it was no impact at all.
I work from home.
And you work from home already.
The only thing that it didn't impact having to try to be a teacher that I'm not.
How
Dealing
did you?
with my kids on that virtual stuff that HISD wasn't even ready for that either.
Overall, how did you all's kids respond to the distance learning?
Mine didn't respond very well at all.
Okay.
Because they're little, they need face to face.
Okay.
They'd get up whenever they want, walk away. Hey, your teacher's still. I know, but I gotta go to the bathroom.
Okay.
Because they're home.
Right.
Okay. Now they're doing great. They're excelling.
They're back in school
now that they're in school.
Okay.
Plus HISD, or it could be all different districts. I don't even know what they did. They pretty much left it up to us.
Wow.
Okay, we know you're home, so teach your kid. I'm not a teacher. That's your fucking job. I don't care if I'm working or not. My job is to teach my kids life and certain lessons. You teach them the
math and the history, and then
that's
all
what
that,
you teach them. And then when they got homework, I could help them with what I know. But so it wasn't. But they didn't. It wasn't done right. They knew it too, though.
Yeah,
they knew it too. We had that guy that one time called in and talked about he was a teacher. He said how it was really bad for a lot of kids. They couldn't get to him.
Yeah,
right.
What about yours? How did your kids respond?
Oh man, she was not doing well with that at home learning, and she was 15 at the time, and just the whole process, she just wasn't cut out for it. You know, we wound up having to do a whole lot to try to make that work with her in, you know, varying degrees of success in my opinion. So like I said, I mean, public school needs improvement, but I don't think we'll ever get rid of it, at least not anytime soon. You know, a couple of 100 years down the
I don't
road,
think
maybe.
you can. I think the law says you can't. And no district or no public school can turn you down for no reason.
No.
Money,
But-
grades, whatever. They have to take you.
But the thing that you have to be careful about is these charter schools, because that's diverting funds away from the public schools, which makes the public schools who are already struggling, it makes their job even harder because they're losing funding because everybody's pulling their kids out to go to charter schools.
Yeah, but if I still live here, I still pay HISD school tax.
Right.
So they're getting the money
But-
from me no matter what, whether my kid goes to them or not.
Who is that? What's that chick's name? I think she's no longer in the position. She was the Secretary of Education
The
under
millionaire
Trump.
lady,
Uh,
the lady was a rich lady and
yeah.
shit about education. Yeah, I
Her
forget.
whole-
Oh yeah.
I can't think of her name at the moment, but you know who I'm
Yeah.
talking
She
about.
paid him
But
so she can be sound.
Basically, she was trying to make it so that you would, as a parent, you would have the option to send your child to a public school or get a voucher that was worth the money, essentially, that your child would have had invested in them in a public school, and take that to a charter school or a private school. That's what she wanted to do because her and some of her rich friends owned
Yeah,
private schools.
of course.
So, you know, they're on the boards and things like this. So they're trying to divert money from the public schools, knowing damn well that these charter schools, there's no regulation on them.
Right.
There's nothing that makes them have to teach certain subjects.
Right.
There's nothing that makes them have to make sure that your children are meeting certain standards that the world even holds up as some kind of, base for, okay, we know that you've at least got this basic level of education. None of that. These charter schools can do anything,
Yeah.
because they're not government funded.
Right.
But basically they would be government funded because you take your child there, but the government has no say-so in what they do with that money.
Right.
It's a dangerous situation, but they were really trying to push forward.
You know, it's interesting you said that, man, because I was, I don't know if anybody had looked this up, but in Finland has like one of the best school systems like on the planet, right? One of the best. And one of the reasons is because they focus more on the teachers, right? Like being a teacher is held in with
High
high
regard.
regards
Yeah.
there. You know what I'm saying? So they're really strict about who they hire as a teacher. Matter of fact, there was this chick who, when she graduated, their kids graduate around the same time as I was 19,
Yeah.
Well, here it's more like 17 or 18, but there's like usually
18,
about
19.
19. Yeah. And so she had excellent grades, a lot of accolades and all of that stuff, right? So she wanted to be a teacher. So she went and she tried to, she interviewed for the school so she could be trained as a teacher and everything. And she had 2 tests and an interview, and she aced the 2 tests.
Okay.
And when she got to the interview, she was saying how they asked her the question, why do you want to be a teacher? Right? She aced everything else. This lost her the ability. They denied her because of this. They said, why do you want to be a teacher? And she said that she couldn't think of anything right at the moment other than because my father was a teacher, or mother, one of her parents, right? And then they said, is there any other reasons? And she was like, well, really, there's a lot of teachers in my family, my grandfather, my uncle, my aunts, and she said, so it's kind of like a family business.
Tradition,
Yeah, and she said at that point, she noticed their faces, right? And so she started getting nervous. And then they asked her, is there anything else you want to add? Anything else? And then she said, Oh, no, I'm sorry. They said the next question they asked her, yeah, do you want to add anything else? Is there anything else, outside of that? And she said, I told them that I love kids, right? And those answers
Was
were
not
good
sufficient.
enough, and they denied her.
Next.
Wow.
So when you find a place that
Good to
places
me.
that
I make the
much
same call.
emphasis, exactly, places that much emphasis, because with those same credentials and those same answers, here she'd been hired right away.
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right away. You know what I'm saying? And so I believe that not only do they put the focus on the teachers like that, right?
Mhm.
They also, they're state funded, all of the schools. So every school gets the exact same amount of money,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And their schools are well furnished, they're clean, they get all, good, they have rooms in their schools where they may have a PlayStation and a fireplace because it's real cold, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Places that the kids can literally just go chill.
Hang out and
Like
relax.
they like being there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so the guy that was interviewing them, he was like, well, in order for your school to have this type of stuff, your school must get a lot of money. And they were like, no, all schools get the same amount of money, so everybody can have the same standard
stuff,
of education, across the board. And so I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, that's a lot of key shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to pick and choose where you want your kid to go to school outside of where you live. Because you're not worried about anything other than where you live.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Because no
There's
matter
no
where they
bad
go to school,
schools.
you're right.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So when you don't have to worry about that, all the schools are across the board, and the teachers really give a damn about their job.
But
you know what
But
I'm
look
saying?
at how they have our schools set up. Our schools are paid for by property taxes.
Yeah.
So if you live in a poor neighborhood, guess what? You got a poor school.
Right.
You live in a rich neighborhood, you have a rich school.
Right.
We moved from the north side of Houston in Acres Homes.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's Aldine School District.
Right.
Moved from over there to off of I-10, and I forgot the name of that school district. It's like Spring Branch or something like that. When I'm telling you the difference between those schools, day and night.
Yeah.
One's all predominantly black neighborhood,
Yeah.
poor people. The others are predominantly white neighborhood, people with a lot more money, and you can tell the difference by the schools. I walked into that school the first day to register. I'm like, this looked like a school off of TV. This looked like Saved by the Bell or some shit. I expected to see Zach and Screech come walking around the corner, dude.
Right. You know what? Even with all that, United States ranks #1 in public schools around the whole world.
And who did that? Who did
Some
that survey?
I got the shit.
Who did the survey?
World
The
population.
United States, right?
I don't know. It's world population dot somebody or shit.
I remember when I was in the magnet program
Mm-hmm.
at Sterling to be a pilot. And from the time that you walk through the door in the 9th grade to your first class, possibly up until you graduate, you stay with the same group of people, your friends or whatever that you take these classes with.
Yeah.
You go from class to class with those same people. So it's not like you break out and everybody go their separate way or nothing like that.
Yeah.
Like everybody is herded from one class to the next all together. This is the magnet program.
Mm-hmm.
Some of our teachers in the magnet program were also some of y'all's teachers at Sterling.
Yeah.
This is the joke that they didn't show y'all, man. I saw it personally. In the 12th grade, I got tired of that because I felt like, and my mom would tell you, I felt like I wasn't having a high school experience. My grades are off the chain. I'm a certified pilot. You know what I mean? I didn't soloed all of this. I'm about to graduate. But I didn't feel like I was having a high school experience, much less a black experience at school. I said, I'm gonna go ahead and just chill this 12th grade. She's like, all right, you want to get out the magnet program? Yeah, all right, cool. I get out, I go to my English class.
Which teacher?
I don't remember her name, man. Black chick. She
Varner?
Miss Varner.
I loved him.
Miss Varner. Miss Varner. I learned something very interesting from Miss Varner. Miss Varner knew when I came over, and I guess all the teachers knew, that I was a former student in the magnet program. So this kid here might be a little bit whatever. When she started on the first day of school, the curriculum, what they was going to read, what they had to cover, like not only what they was going to read, but what they had to learn from it, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
We had done that in the 10th grade. And she told me, she says, I know you've already done all this work. You can just sit there and just hang out and read or whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Miss Varner told me that. This is the same woman giving you all an education.
Right.
You follow me?
Right.
But in the magnet program, when teachers go to her, or whatever English teacher you have, that same teacher is having you on a whole different curriculum.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's the same person.
Right.
You see how you're
Right.
getting two different levels of
Right.
service.
Exactly.
It's the same person. The knowledge hasn't changed.
Right.
It just depends on what side of the line did you come on.
Right. Right.
So I saw a totally different Sterling.
Yeah.
Totally different Sterling. The only time I saw Sterling was when we had lunch breaks,
Yeah.
or if you went to the football games.
Oh yeah.
But outside of that, those regular kids, oh, please keep them insulated from them.
Yeah.
For real. It was a totally different experience.
The other thing I had learned too, I looked up, most of the best public schools in America are all up north. The top 10 are up north.
Really?
According to this, they're all up north. And then New Mexico, Louisiana, Oklahoma, and somebody
Southern
else
states, what?
are the sorriest ones. Yes. Yes, the southern states are the worst ones. New Mexico, Louisiana, Arizona, and Alaska. They're
Wow.
Where's
Alaska-
Texas?
Texas, I forget. We ranked 28. Texas, 28.
Yeah.
And it's how many on the list?
All 50 states.
Oh, 50.
Yes, all 50 states. Here's only 70-something countries, and they got us ranked number one according to population. I guess I don't know if it's according to population, but if you look, United States, Great Britain, Germany, so I don't know where they get their numbers from.
I would be interested to see what they're basing that ranking on,
Yeah.
because I've seen different numbers. I wouldn't be able to quote them to you to be accurate or really dispute that, but I've heard.
No, but I've seen stuff where he said like
Yeah.
Norway and Finland and them, their schools surpassed all of our schools.
When you think about
but we're talking about public schools.
Those are
Right.
infinitely
Maybe those are
smaller
not
numbers.
public.
No, those are public schools.
They may
I'm
not
talking
be
about
counting
in Finland.
things as public schools though.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know.
that's what I'm saying. I
You know,
that's why
maybe
I
they're
would-
not counting certain
But
certain
you're dealing
places.
with a much infinitely smaller population
That too.
with
That's why
Finland
they gave the
versus
populations
us.
too.
Like
Yeah.
it's almost apples and oranges, to be
Right.
honest with you.
So, and I
Because
guess you know what that could be it because that's why they put the population on it. But then you got to think though, China's that way down there. Their population there over 1 billion people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but China, China also has a very specialized form of education, and their kids go to school not only like 6.5 days damn a week. They'll put in 12, 14-hour days before they let go for homework.
Right.
Yeah.
And then these motherfuckers here, man, in Japan, if they don't pass their damn exams when they get out of school to go to higher education, instead of being some low life and life or whatever, them motherfuckers commit suicide. It's real. But but their attitude and their approach towards education is totally different than ours because the parents are being held into account
Right.
in large part of how successful this child is in this educational system.
One of the things that I heard about Japanese schools that I thought was just like the most brilliant idea that you could do with kids is that they make them clean the schools.
Uh-huh.
There's no janitors or anything like that in the school.
They
So-
take care of their area. They
Right.
take care of their
So,
room, their area.
Throughout, if you got 5 classes through that day, one of those class periods is going to be your class's time to clean up the school or a part of the school. And if everybody's doing it, you're not going to litter. You're not going to throw stuff around. You're not going to make a mess.
Yo, pick that
Because
up.
you got to clean that mess up at some point or another.
It's like, yo, it's our week to clean. If I see y'all drop anything on the floor, I'm gonna beat y'all. We're not cleaning.
You know what?
Pick that shit up.
I heard Jonathan about maybe a week or two ago say something very interesting I've been wanting to expound on. I've been thinking about it ever since you said it.
Okay.
You said our educational system is geared more towards, what was it, agrarian or?
Factory workers.
Yeah, talk to me more about that. I found that
Yeah.
interesting.
I was watching a documentary and he was talking about the education system. This was a while back. But that was one of the things that they said that I thought was really interesting is like, you have to realize that our school system was designed to turn farmers into factory workers. That's what it was designed for. Because back in the 1940s, 1950s, most people were still living going farther back, maybe 20s and 30s. A lot of people were still living that agricultural life. You grew up on the farm, you might work in the town where you grew up, that kind of thing. Then, of course, you got Henry Ford come along with mass production and opening factories, and that became a thing. Once those factories started opening up, they needed factory workers. But you had people who was used to living their whole life on a farm, waking up at the crack of dawn, taking a break when they got tired, midday, whatever. They was used to certain behaviors that didn't fit the factory mold. So then what they've realized is, okay, we need to train them from a young age on how to be able to work in these factories. So we need factory workers. That's what we're trying to build. So they started the modern day school system as it exists, right, and still exists that way right now. The structure of the schools, the way the day is laid out. You ever wonder why kids start school so early? There's absolutely no reason for it. Matter of fact, studies show the schools that start the days earlier, the students have worse results because they're tired. They're not getting enough sleep. But that's because factory work starts early and goes all day long. You get your lunch break during the middle of the day, but when the whistle blows, that's when it's quitting time. That's what the system was designed to produce. We don't need factory workers like that anymore. That's why one of the reasons why the education system needs to change. What it was built to do, it did, but the world has changed. So that system is not going to work now for the way children need to learn.
You know what though? The average job today, it still has those same bells and whistles and shit.
Right.
So it's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
So it's still in place for a reason. But still, because they don't want people to think outside.
No.
They want you to go to school, go to college, get a job, and go work their job every day. They want you to be in that perpetual cycle because that's how they keep shit moving.
And nowadays, even going to college doesn't guarantee you anything because degrees are really just synonymous with debt now.
Right.
You know, you go into college, you get a degree, but you come out $50,000 in debt, and then somebody want to pay you $10 an hour. You're like, wait, what? I went to college for this.
But I bet you, when you do get a job and that bell ring, you know what to do.
Exactly.
Start working.
I'm trying to tell you.
Start working.
Bill system.
Yeah, but that's what I say. The basic fundamentals of our education system need to change because what it was designed to do, that world doesn't really exist anymore. You know, we have technology that is, these kids will learn more in an afternoon sitting on their phone than they will in the classroom for 8 hours. I mean, that's just a fact, you know. And if a kid is got a curious mind, he could damn near educate himself, really, if he wants to. And you'll have some who will do that. I've seen some of these kids on social media, on TikTok and all this kind of stuff. I'd be like, dude, I'd be scared to hold a conversation with him because he's probably smarter than me, you know. And these is like dudes in their teens and 20s.
Yeah.
But they got into the deep end of the pool. They went and looked up the things that they was interested in. They focused on it and got that knowledge, and now it's theirs.
I thought we answered that question though when we determined like our children did really respond well to remote learning, because that's why I asked the question. Because about 2000 and maybe 7, 8 or whatever, Steve Jobs had put forth the notion that he believes that all learning could be remote. Bill Gates was on board, and at that time, remember, they was really pushing for the world to get online because they was trying to say, hey, going back and forth to a school is an archaic way of doing things. Like then you have to pay teachers, you have to pay janitors, all this kind of stuff. This was all a part of the thinking. So what Steve Jobs and them did was they started making, after they got the iPad, I guess one of the earlier models, they gave Duke University grad students all those iPads.
Oh, I do remember
Absolutely.
stuff like that. They was doing a lot of that with local school districts and
Yeah,
stuff
they
too.
were testing it. They
Yeah.
were testing it. And they were saying, hey man, we really think children would learn better under these conditions. And as a result of us believing that, we're going to make sure the world or most of the world is online by whatever day. And this is the mode we'll use in terms of learning. Well, when COVID hit, what we found was the perfect conditions that they were looking for, that they said were optimal in child learning, went straight out the window because everyone has agreed. Our children did not respond favorably to it.
Nope.
So the first thing that told you was there's a social component to education
Right.
that we're not giving too much credence. You see, so that's why I asked the question: how did your kids really respond to it?
Mine didn't respond.
See, now we have to kind of unravel all of that thinking that we said that we tried to justify in the early turn of the century. You know?
Yeah.
I had already had my kids in private school, right? So it really didn't affect them at all.
Sure.
But my my 13-year-old, at the time when she went in, she was probably about 10.
Okay.
10, or I think she was 10 years old when she first went into when I first brought her home for private school. And she's one of those kids. My older two kids that graduated from homeschool, they loved it because they hated going to school. They didn't like it anyway. But they loved homeschool. She didn't.
I'm sorry. So homeschool or private school? Because I'm sorry, at one point you said private school.
If I did say private school, I meant homeschool.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear.
Yeah, appreciate that, man. So she's the one that says she wants she wants public school, right? So because she wants the interaction with other kids and stuff like that. But I even saw at a certain point where when she was really telling us, I really want to go back to public school, but at the time it wasn't even an option. This was like in 2020.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I saw her grades decline, and they declined because she lost interest.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? She gets there, she does the work or whatever, but she was real disinterested in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And luckily, there was a sharp point in time when the end of 2020, when they kind of opened things back up. I think it was the end of 2020.
Yeah.
And we put her back in school for about a month, right? And either they shut it down again or it was the end of the year, one of the two. And I saw a difference in her grades, and now she's back in homeschooling again, and she's good so far.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because I had to talk with her, because it was literally that she was just disinterested, right? So I can see how a lot of kids, can kind of be disconnected versus if they were in public school. Because I have to be honest, man, that's why I didn't go back to HCC, because the year I graduated in May of 2020, and I didn't go back because I wanted to get another degree, and I had already started on it. I haven't been back yet because all of those classes were now virtual classes.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I don't like it. I have never liked virtual classes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I really get it. I understand.
Yeah.
I understand, man.
You need that human touch.
The social interaction that kids get at school is probably the most important thing, at least as far as the way the current education system is set up.
Yeah.
That's probably the most important thing that they learn.
Yeah.
The friendships, the social interactions, those kind of things. That is really what gives public school, face-to-face school value right now.
Right.
It's not the quality of education that
Right.
you get,
Right.
but it's the social interaction.
Right.
But you're still getting educated.
Oh yeah.
Because from what I've noticed, man, to be honest with you, and I'm looking at public online school and online homeschool, right? When I look at the two of those, and then I look at what I saw in public school, actual face-to-face public school, the education is better online because the kids have to pay attention to that screen. You know what I'm saying? And the teachers are really, really, they're really, really engaged with each student. You know what I'm saying? You get more one-on-one time.
More focus.
Yeah, from what I've noticed.
Okay.
I can't say that across the board, but from what I've experienced, you get.
I wonder if part of the issue could be is just a question of being used to it. So say if we have a generation where the only thing they know is homeschool, you know,
Right.
Still have their social interactions outside when they go play, whatever, do, you know, that. But if all you know is homeschool, I wonder if that could make a difference in how kids respond to it.
I know it will, because think about it. We're going to adapt to whatever we have to adapt to. And it's not going to be perfect at first, but whatever the circumstances are, when you're in it long enough, you're going to adapt. The people are going to adapt more than not.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
This was like an abrupt thing.
Right.
Yeah. Nobody was
We
ready
still
for
knew
it.
that, hey, we go to school and this, all of a sudden, boom, I can't go to school. What's going on? You know, that was a shock to everybody, especially the kids. Now, why can't I go to school? I'm not used to this.
Yeah.
Eventually, the more you do that, then, you know, and I guess from the more you do that, the more you take away from these public schools. And there's people that are going to always need public schools. And I can't have my children at home by themselves when they're 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. You know, me and my wife both work. Who's gonna watch them?
Right.
So I have to send them somewhere. You know, I have to send them to school. You know, so that's why it's you can't get rid of it. There's people that can't afford to send their kids other places. You know, other than not just money, I can't afford to leave my kids, like I said, at home by themselves. Me and my wife are gonna work.
You come back, the whole house be burned down.
I don't care how much attention the teacher has here. They're by themselves at the crib. Oh no. So you're gonna have to have.
It is a nightmare.
You know, you gotta have public schools. You know, like I said, unless we get rid of poor people. Yeah.
Now that does bring up an interesting subject though, because if you change the work environment, then that also opens up the possibility for more homeschooling. Because if, like, my job can be done completely from home, there is no reason that I need to go into an office every day to do my job. So saying that, and that having been the case when my kids were still young and school age, potentially I could have been able to be at home with them all day. Yeah, I would have been working, you know, doing other stuff, but I could have been there to pay attention to them or help them if they need a little something. Right. But that requires a whole nother change in society to be able to make that really happen. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. And some kids, like you said, some kids will respond to it, some kids won't. But to have the option from day one, that could change a whole lot for just people, just us as a society.
But didn't you say you can do that? You got public schools online?
Yeah.
Like a homeschool thing where I can homeschool my kids.
HISD. HISD has a program like that. I looked into it at one point.
They had to implement that heavy. That's what happened last year.
Yeah, that's what they used.
That's what they had to start doing, and hopefully they fix it, because
we looked into it at one point, but none of my kids was really interested in it. They was like, I'd rather go to school. Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, I can't. I work from home. I can't be on my girls making sure that they're doing what they got to do, because then my work might then suffer. You know, so I can't afford that.
Again, it depends on what you do.
Yeah,
you know? Right. You got one of those jobs where you spend 90% of your day in meetings, you'd probably be glad to have the distraction.
Right. For real.
Or like you said, it becomes the norm where, you know, we know that, hey, you know, you work from 8 to 9. I know you got, you know, from 9 to 10, you're chilling with kids, you come back to work. So that's your work day.
As long as your day, your stuff is complete.
Your breaks are longer because we understand you got to take care of your children.
That's it.
Trying to have lunch at the same time, you know, then another longer break to end the day to get them, you know, settled, and then you go back to work, finish your work. We might have to work a little bit later though, you know, but
I'd be okay with that.
Yeah,
because if I'm still in my house in my pajamas, I'm good.
Right, because if you can get off work at 5 and not get home till 6, well, here I can work from 5 to 6. I'm right here. You know, so I guess there's pros and cons to all of it. But I said it's needed. You can't just get rid of it.
All right, good people. It's 8:00. We appreciate y'all joining
We
us
have no
this
teachers
evening.
out there. Nobody wanted to.
Yeah, nobody
talk.
called in to talk to us or
Nothing to say
anything.
something. Y'all know better than we do.
I'm glad y'all stuck
Teachers
with
out
us.
there.
Most definitely, man.
Anybody got any shout outs and any honorable mentions or anything before we head out?
Give a shout out to my coworker Melissa. If you watching, what's up?
Shout out Melissa.
What's up, Melissa?
Melissa, shout out to the Astros.
That's right.
Oh yeah.
And the Braves. That's right. And the Braves. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. Hey, don't hate.
We're
Don't hate.
gonna
hate.
restrict your free speech. You can't bring up the Braves right now.
Don't hate. Don't hate.
Hey, we appreciate y'all for tuning in, man.
Yeah.
We will see y'all Monday, same bat time, same bat channel. I'm your boy Big Ruck.
Brother Ron.
Brother Jam.
Brother Losi Lolo.
We are,
Bobby.
and we are out of here, man. See y'all
Peace.
Monday. Be safe.
Peace.
All right, yeah, it's time to get to it now.